Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, I'll be covering bones of the hand. So the hand consists of three groups of bones. Proximally, we have carpals. So in Greek, carpals means wrist. So at the level of the wrist crease, we have 8 small bones, which are known as carpals. Just next to carpals or distal to carpals, we have metacarpals. So meta means in Greek after. So after carpals, we have metacarpals, and there are 5 in number. And most distally, we have phalanges. We have 14 phalanges. They form the digits or our fingers. So now let's see each of them in detail. So first, let's see the carpals. So we have 8 carpal bones, and they are arranged in 2 rows. We have proximal row and we have distal row. So when we see the proximal row, most laterally we have scaphoid. So scaphoid is a Greek word which means both. So this bone is both shaped, so that's why it's known as scaphoid. And scaphoid is the largest one from the proximal row. Just next to scaphoid, this is lunate. So in Latin, lunate means crescent-shaped or it means moon. So lunate is moon-shaped. Next to lunate, we have triquatrium. Three, quatrium means angled or cornered. So this bone is wedge-shaped or it looks like a pyramid. So that's why it's known as triquatrium. And on top of triquatrium, we have a very small bone, which is known as pisiform. So pisiform, so it's a Latin word, which means P-shaped. It's very small, like a P, and it lies on top of triquatrium. And when you see the distal row, most laterally, we have trapezium. So trapezium is a Greek word, which means little table-shaped. Next to trapezium, we have trapezoid. Trapezoid resembles trapezium, and it's also like a small table. It looks like a small table. Next to trapezoid, we have capitate. So in Latin, caput means head. So when we see this bone, distally, it looks like a head. So that's why it's known as capitate. And capitate is the largest carpal bone. It's the largest in size. And the last one is hamate. Hamate is from hamulus, a Latin word which means little hook. And this bone has a hook, that's why it's known as hamate. So in the distal row, we have trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. And as you see, the distal row, it articulates with the bases of the metacarpals. The proximal row, it articulates with radius, and they will form the wrist joint. The distal row, it articulates with the metacarpals, and they will form the carpo-metacarpal joint. In case if you just need a mnemonic to remember these bones, so in the proximal row, we have scaphoid, lunate, triquatrium, and pisiform. So you can use she likes to play. S is for scaphoid, L is for lunate, T is for triquatrium, and P is for pisiform. And for the distal row, try to catch her. So laterally is trapezium. Next to trapezium, we have trapezoid. Then we have capitate. And most medially, we have hamate. So this arrangement is from lateral to medial. The other bones in our hand is the metacarpals or the metacarpals. So the metacarpals, there are 5 in number, and they form the major part of our palm. So they are long bones. They don't have their own name. They are represented by numbers. So we have metacarpal 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So they are numbered from lateral to medial. So the metacarpal at the base of thumb is the first metacarpal. And the metacarpal at the base of the pinky or fifth digit is the fifth metacarpal. And the metacarpal at the base of the middle finger is the third metacarpal. So there are long bones. So each of them have a base, a shaft, and a head. So the base, as you see, it articulates with the carpals, with the distal row of carpals, and it will form carpo-metacarpal joint. Very simple, between carpals and metacarpals, carpo-metacarpal joint. And their head articulates with the phalanges, the proximal phalanges, and it will form metacarpo-phalangeal joint. The joints are named based on the bones, based on the name of the bones, metacarpophalangeal joint. And the last bones in our hand are the phalanges. So the medial 4 digits, each of them contain 3 phalanges. We have proximal phalange, middle and distal phalanges. So each of them contains 3 phalanges. But thumb only contains proximal and distal phalanges. There is no middle phalange in thumb. And phalanges are also examples of long bones. So each phalange has a base, a shaft, and a head. And there is a joint between phalanges, and it's known as interphalangeal joint. Very simple, between phalanges, interphalangeal joint. So they are long bones and they form the digits or our fingers. So that's all about bones of the hand.